What's going on, guys? It's Picsoleated. First and foremost, Happy New Year. This is the first video of the new year. I know I uploaded a new video in the new year, but it was recorded before the new year, so this is my first time saying it to you guys. Happy New Year. I know it's halfway through January, but it's still the new year, and I wanted to greet you guys with that anyway. Okay, so today we're taking a look at a headset from the brand Edifier. You might have heard of them. I've known them for quite a while. They're pretty popular for their audio products, specifically their bookshelf speakers. In fact, for the longest time, I wanted to buy their bookshelf speakers for my desk setup, but at the time I couldn't find them in white, which is what I needed. Had I found them in white, I would have snapped them up right away. They're known for their quality audio products at reasonable prices, and I'm not just saying that because they sent these to me, but because I've known of them for a long time, and for a long time I've also been a prospective customer. Even now and again, from time to time, I keep up with the brand just to see if they're actually offering white bookshelf speakers now, and I think they are. I'm pretty sure they are. Well, today's the day we get to try out a headset from Edifier from their gaming division known as Hecate, and the headset is the Hecate GX gaming headset. This headset is designed for the PC and works on the PS4 and PS5, so we're going to take it for a spin on the PS5 and see how well it performs on PS5's Tempest 3D audio engine. But before we get into it, make sure to karate chop that like button if you happen to enjoy the video at any point. Make sure to give the subscribe button a light squeeze for more videos, and make sure to jingle that noti bell so you don't miss out on future videos. If this video piques your interest in this headset, you can go ahead and check it out in the link in the description. Alright, let's get into it. Let's take a quick look at what we get in the box. Alright, so first and foremost, we got the box right here. Pretty cool box. Open it up. We got the headsets themselves. Very nice design, super gamery, but you know, looks cool, pretty bold. First of all, we've got the USB-C to USB-A cable, then we've got the USB-C to USB-C cable, and we've got a 3.5mm audio jack. Now, when talking about the comfort, you could probably tell just by looking at this headset that it might be a little weighty. And to be honest, it's not super heavy, but if I was to rank all the headsets I've tried on a scale, this is probably on the top 50%. Still, it doesn't have a massive impact on when you wear it. You really don't notice it. The only thing you'll probably notice is when you wear a lighter headset, you will notice the difference between that headset and this headset. Now, the rest of the factors that contribute to comfort, they've gone with pretty tried and true methods like the pleather ear cups. They're very well cushioned and they're actually very sizable, very good size, go all around your ears. You don't feel any sort of pressure from them. I just love the size and comfort of these gigantic pleather ear cups. They also have tried and true pleather cushioning on the headband, which is very standard, but it gets the job done. Now, I've mentioned before that I'm not a big fan of all pleather, all leather, or all pleather ear cups, mainly because of the condensation, but it also creates a better sound seal so you don't have a lot of outside noises coming in. At the same time, these cups are very sizable, so I don't think the condensation would be as much of an issue. I've played for hours with this headset and I haven't had much condensation, if any, on my ears. Okay, moving on to the fit. Now, I promise there are things to look forward to in this headset, but the fit is a little odd with this one. It's not uncomfortable by any stretch of the imagination. The ear cups do swivel, so there's no issues with that, but something about it just feels a little stiff. And I think what it is that the ear cups don't rotate at all, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of headsets that don't have rotating ear cups, and with ear cups as big as these, rotating ear cups might have been a logistical issue. Like if you have it sitting on your neck with ear cups turning, but them being this big, it might just, you know, tighten up around your neck a little bit. Here's another thing that Hecate or Edifier gets right, and that is the notches on the headband right here when you're adjusting it. So when you're adjusting your headset, once you find the perfect fit, you will know exactly where that is, not just based on the notches. And if you do forget the notches, there are numbers right here as well. So you will remember the number. Most likely you will remember the number over time. Overall, the fit is a bit nuanced, but it's just fine. It fits just fine. There is no real issue with it. Now, when it comes to audio quality, I wasn't really sure what to expect from this headset on the PS5 because it was clearly made with the PC in mind and just happens to be compatible with the PS5 and PS4. I have to say though, this headset has surprisingly good 3D audio performance and a great sound signature, even better than some headsets that claim to be designed for 3D audio. I'm not joking. This thing has a wide soundstage and the way it handles PS5 3D audio is incredible. Usually when I get headsets or I test out headsets that are not designed for 3D audio, I test it out with 3D audio on first, but I typically turn 3D audio off right after because they end up sounding much better without 3D audio enabled. Of course, there are some exceptions to this. With these, I did a thing. I tried it with 3D audio off first, and then I tried it with 3D audio on, and the difference is insane. It's remarkable how great these perform with 3D audio on. And what amazed me was that they performed well with games with 3D audio on, even if they weren't PS5 exclusives or they didn't claim to take advantage of 3D audio. Okay, I unplugged these because I'm pretty sure the cable dangling from this headset that was bouncing on the table was causing interference on the mic, so hopefully we won't get any of those issues. When I fired up Spider-Man Miles Morales with this headset on and 3D audio on, I was blown away by every little detail that I noticed that I haven't noticed before, like the whooshing of the air past me when I'm swinging around the city, or when swinging low close to the streets. I noticed that people would comment on me swinging by, or I could hear the idling of vehicles, and I could pinpoint exactly where everything was coming from. So I decided to walk the streets and interact with the citizens, and I started to notice this little dialogue nuance that I hadn't noticed before ever, which is if someone starts talking to you while you're walking the streets as Spider-Man, if you start walking away, they will cut off into a dialogue and just sound offended as if they were caught off guard by the fact that you were walking away when they're trying to start a conversation with you. I had never noticed that before until I tried on this headset, and it just separated everything. It gave this distinct clarity to everything in the game. And that distinct clarity of hearing all these people and knowing exactly where it's coming from and knowing exactly where the rumbles of the idling cars is coming from, it just helps bring another level of immersion to the game. When playing Ghost of Tsushima, I had the same feeling, just the distinct sounds of everything around you makes it feel like you're there. Even when you swing your katana and it makes contact with the enemy, that sound is so visceral, it really feels like you're just standing there like you're Jin Sakai and you're swinging on people. Now these are all great experiences, but I know what you're thinking. Pix, where's that FPS experience? And let me tell you, when I put on Warzone, I could actually tell the verticality of where the enemy was. I could tell whether they're above or below me and where they're coming from around me. For example, I was landing, and you know when you're landing in Warzone, your parachute is out there, you can hear the wind flailing and it's pretty loud. But while I was landing on a 2-story house, I could hear an enemy on ground floor coming in from a door on the corner of the house. It was that clear, I could tell exactly where the enemy was. And I'm really not trying to oversell this, but that's really what my experience was with this headset. Now these are all pretty crazy benefits, right? And unfortunately it does come with a little bit of a downside, and that downside is that when you connect this to your PS5, the headset doesn't really have any volume control. You can see the volume rocker right here. It doesn't really work at all once you connect it to the PS5. And for some reason, the volume on the PS5 for this headset is a little low. For example, I pretty much have to play every game with 80% volume or above to get decent volume. Not to get loud volume, but to get decent volume. I will say this though, pretty much every game at 100% was too loud for me, so there is a little bit of a safety area there. There's a good point where you can have good volume, but for those who might need to play games at higher volumes, this might be an issue. And this brings me to my next point, and that is that you do lose out on some features when you connect this headset to your PS5. Just like I mentioned, you lose out on the volume rocker. The other feature you lose out on is this auto ENC, which is environmental noise cancelling. You miss out on noise cancelling, and this actually turns into a mute and unmute button for your mic on the headset once you connect it to your PS5. For example, because you can't use the volume rocker here, in order to adjust the volume, you have to use PS5's in-game sound menu. Built-in sound menu, PS5's built-in sound menu. The sound signature on this headset is just really good. The highs are really well pronounced, really clear, really positional. They're never too distorted, they're never shouty, it never hurts your ears in any way. The mids are also well reproduced. The low frequencies are well produced as well. Surprisingly, explosions and low frequency sounds have this sort of rumbling bass sort of effect, but it never feels overwhelming and it doesn't encompass you in a way that in some games, if you listen to explosions through some headsets, it just sounds too loud or it sounds overwhelming. But with this, it has this sort of pleasant sound. And I know that sounds counterintuitive to explosions, but it's pleasant in the way that it sounds good. It has that rumbling effect that an explosion should, but it doesn't overwhelm your ears in the same way. Now the EQ settings on this headset can't really be adjusted. There's a button here that switches from music to game mode. So one of these EQs is designed for music, the other is designed for gaming, but you can't really tell the difference. I just kind of press the button until whatever music I'm playing in the background just sounds a little better. And you can tell there is a slight difference, but to be honest, you're probably just going to enjoy the headset as it is. the EQ makes minimal difference. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because this headset already performs well as it is. I mean, if a company offers features like EQ setting presets, they should definitely fully flesh out the feature instead of providing something just for the sake of providing it. Now, all this sounds great, right? But this superhero looking and performing headset does not come without its own downsides. They might be minor, they might be major, depending on who you are, because for one, the performance that we're talking about, the audio quality that we're getting in this headset right now that I've just been praising this entire time has been via USB, meaning that if you want to get this audio quality, you have to connect this headset via USB-C to USB-C or USB-C to USB-A to your PS5, directly to your PS5. For whatever reason, the audio quality suffers when I connect this headset via the 3.5mm jack directly into the DualSense, which doesn't really make sense to me because I've heard of people powering a lot more power-hungry headphones like 80 ohm headphones with the DualSense, and this is a 32 ohm headset. My guess is that this headset was just designed to be powered via USB for whatever reason. And Edifier, if you're listening to this, take notes. Whoever your sound engineer is, they did a bang up job with the audio, but allow the headset to have that same audio performance through the 3.5mm audio jack. It might have been on purpose, it might have been on accident, who knows. But for this reason, I haven't included the 3.5mm audio jack performance in this review, mainly because I'm testing this headset out for the PS5, and because the audio quality performs the best with the USB connection, I'm just gonna test it with the USB connection. Basically what this means is this is a minor situation for someone like me who's sitting on their desk with the PS5 really close by, but for someone who is sitting much further away from their PS5, you have to consider that you might have to buy a USB-C to USB-A cable or a USB-C to USB-C cable that is extremely long. Okay, so moving on to the mic test, here we have a retractable mic, and it has a dual mic configuration that allows for environmental noise canceling. So actually it allows you to cancel out outside noise, but for whatever reason on the PS5, as I mentioned this earlier, the ENC noise cancellation button, in fact, it actually ends up being a mic mute and unmute button on the PS5. I don't know if that's the same on PC. I haven't really tested this button out on PC, but my guess would be that it would enable the environmental noise cancellation instead of becoming a mute and unmute button. So that's kind of cool that they did that they actually replace it with an alternative feature. Now, the 3.5mm auxiliary cable that comes with this that allows you to connect it to the DualSense has its own built-in inline mic, and that's because once you connect it via 3.5mm, you lose out on the RGB lighting, you lose out on all these other buttons, and you also lose out on the mic functionality here. And that mic is actually pretty good, but because we're not using the headset in that fashion, especially not in this review, I'm just gonna leave that inline mic out of this review. The beauty of this retractable mic is that it actually is hidden in plain sight once you retract it into there, so when you're not chatting, it's not really noticeable. But aside from that, let's get into the mic test.
Alright, so this is the mic quality test for the Edifier Hecate GX gaming headset, and I would say this would fit into the could be better category. Starting off with a few things, the first thing is that the volume is relatively low at 50%, which is the default volume that I usually use for a mic. I've brought it up to about 65-70% for it to be sort of a normal volume. It's not like a professional level mic or anything, it doesn't sound the greatest, but it gets the job done. You will probably be able to communicate with your friends perfectly fine. It doesn't exaggerate or make any sounds too harsh, like your P's and Q's, the plosives. They don't sound very poppy like they do on certain other mics of headsets that I actually really like. The other issue I have with this mic is that there's not a lot of noise cancellation, not a lot of background noise cancellation, but in games like Warzone, they have it built in to counteract that. They have built-in noise gates that you can adjust. Now, if you end up playing a game that doesn't have a built-in noise gate, it's online, it's multiplayer, and it doesn't end up having a noise gate, and your friends can hear your background noises, or if you end up using the PS5's own party chat feature, there might be a little bit of a background noise issue. However, you can probably just reduce the volume and you'll be fine.
Now, we've talked about a few of the features of this headset already during the course of this review, but let's talk about a few tech specs. The first being the frequency range of this headset, which is 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz or 20 kilohertz, which is perfectly fine. That's a good frequency range to be in because that's most of what your ears can perceive. I think that's all of what your ears can perceive. There are a lot of headsets that do go higher than this. Some go a little bit lower, and there may be a reason for that. That's a whole nother topic for a whole other video. But at the end of the day, that's a good range to be in. Most high-end gaming headphones offer this same type of range. Now, this headset has 50mm titanium dynamic drivers, and that is pretty much in line with a high-end gaming headset because a lot of even high-end gaming headsets that I've paid $200 plus for have 40mm dynamic drivers that may not be as good as these ones. Now the Hecate GX gaming headset has high-res certification, which means it supports 96 kHz at 24 bits output, which means that it supports lossless audio. So if you listen to FLAC audio files or lossless music through Tidal, all of that will sound great on this headset. I mentioned this before, but the headsets are powered at 32 ohms impedance. They're not super power hungry, but typically for console gaming, I would recommend 28 ohm headsets just because it's not super power hungry. You can plug it into your DualSense, and even though I've heard that people can power 80 ohm headsets with their DualSense, I think 28 ohms is the safe range to stay in, and 32 ohms is not that much higher, so it's not too bad. However, that might be the reason that the volume's actually a little bit lower than I would have expected, or that I would have preferred on this headset when it's directly connected to the DualSense. Anyway, so this headset allows you to connect it in 3 ways, which I mentioned earlier, which was the 3.5mm audio jack, the USB-C to USB-C, and USB-C to USB-A. And as our results have shown, the preferred way to connect it to the PS5 is via USB-A or USB-C. Now this is going to get a little high-level technical for a second here, but if you know an amp or a DAC that is compatible with the PS5, that works perfectly with it, you could try that out, try to connect that to your PS5 and connect your headset to the amp/DAC to see if it improves the volume levels. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, or if that's not something you're interested in, just don't bother with doing that. Just connect it via USB and you will probably have a good enough experience. Now when it comes to pricing, I can't really find a Canadian price listing for this for whatever reason, but with the USD pricing being $89.99, this isn't exactly the cheapest wired gaming headset. It's also not that expensive. This is probably the perfect price point for a headset of this caliber. I mean, you get superb audio quality, 50mm drivers, RGB lighting. You'll be hard pressed to find another headset in this price point with that feature set. And I do believe some of the superb audio quality should account for the price as well. And if you're considering that, then this thing is definitely punching above its weight. Again, you can check this headset out down at the link below. Now moving on to the design. Now at first, the design of this thing was a little too bold, even for me, and I like bold designs. Although generally it's nothing crazy, it's just the RGB that kind of makes it pop out a little bit more and might be too much for some people. And since then, I've actually gotten accustomed to it, and to be honest, I find it really pleasing to look at when the headset is not on my headset. It's just something really cool to have on your table somewhere, or just on a headphone stand somewhere, wherever you want to put it. And it looks like Iron Man's arc reactor, and I'm pretty sure Edifier knew it too, because just look at this alternative colorway. It's a stronger RGB light than I've seen on other headsets, and I actually like that because RGB lights on other headsets have been quite underwhelming. I'm not someone who pursues RGB on headsets. I mean, I do think it can look tacky sometimes, but it can also look cool. Like in this example, it looks really good, and it will definitely appeal to the crowd that this headset is designed for, at least for most of that crowd. There's RGB on the mic too, and it actually becomes a mute-unmute indicator when you have... Oh, my PS5 is off right now. Let me turn my PS5 on. There is an RGB light on the mic as well, which ends up becoming an indicator for mute and unmute on the PS5. This can be a little distracting for some. For me, it was far out enough into my peripheral, and the light is angled ever so outwardly that it really wasn't a distraction for me unless I was really looking for it. Oh, and then there's this button on the back that lets you alternate through different RGB modes, and to be honest, it's all the same sort of breathe pattern RGB mode, but it gives you 4 different colors. You get this red one right here, you get green, lavender, and blue. Why they don't have any other colors is beyond me. I think they probably just picked the most vibrant colors because these are pretty vibrant. And now that I notice it, they also match the same colors of the PS5 buttons. Now, while this headset is made entirely of plastic, it doesn't feel all too cheap. It actually feels very well built and very well made, especially when you feel it and you wear it. It feels pretty heavy duty. The only thing I'm not a big fan of are the silver accents, like the silver accent on the bottom right here and the silver accent on the headband, mainly because it's really just plastic with a coating of silver paint, which means that if you scratch any of this, it's gonna scratch off and you're gonna see the dark material underneath it. Is just not going to look that good. This headset is a self-proclaimed, I proclaimed this colorway to be a gunmetal gray. They would have been better off just removing this silver stuff and making the entire thing gunmetal gray. I love gunmetal gray. It's one of my favorite colors, so I'm a little bit biased here. It won't match the PS5, but you never know. In the future, PS5, Sony might be dropping them gunmetal gray plates. Right, Sony? Come on, give them to us. Again, when we're talking about the design, this is a really bold design, and the giant ear cups just add to that design. I love the feeling of them. I also love the visual aesthetic of giant, round, padded cushy ear cups. The one real issue with giant ear cups, as I've mentioned earlier, is that if you have it around your head, as you can see, not very, I mean, I could probably turn like this, but it's not very comfortable. Okay, so what are the good and bad things of this headset? Let's start off with some of the good things. Of course, the first thing I want to mention is obviously the superb sound quality. This thing absolutely blew away my expectations. It's competing with headsets that are twice, if not more, than twice the price of this headset. I hold the audio quality of this headset in high regard because for me, when a headset allows me to hear something I haven't heard before, or it allows me to hear something in a different way that actually improves the experience, that is something to be noted, and this headset did exactly that. Another good thing about this headset is the RGB lighting. It's fun, it's great for looks, and I love futuristic vibes. This headset definitely gives you futuristic vibes from the design to the RGB lighting, and it's just something pleasant to look at when it's sitting on your headphone stand or wherever you put your headset. If the light is on, if it's connected to your PS5 and the light is on, it's something that just sort of adds to the aura of everything else. I love the USB connectivity, the fact that it allows for USB-C to USB-A and even USB-C to USB-C, the fact that they have the USB-C to USB-C cable included in the package. It's a breath of fresh air because you don't usually see that, not very often, unless the product actually requires it. And the next thing is price. The sound quality to price ratio on this thing is outstanding. I've paid $200 plus for headphones that don't provide even the same amount of audio fidelity or clarity as this headset. Okay, some of the bad things. Now, the mic is easily the biggest downside of this headset. It still functions and it can get the job done, but it's not going to make it easy for you. You're going to have to figure out what your mic volumes are. You're going to have to definitely increase them, and you might have to deal with some background noise, or your friends will have to deal with some background noise. What I will say though is that a mic monitoring feature would have been nice as well. Another downside is that you will probably have to buy a longer USB cable if you are not sitting close to your PS5, if you're gaming from your TV to your sofa. If you're in that situation, you're probably going to have to buy a longer USB cable. Now, the EQ button could be completely omitted from this and you would get the exact same performance, so I'm not really a fan of the fact that they gave you a feature just for the sake of providing it, when in fact they probably could have just left it out. Finally, the build quality could be improved, and if somehow they can implement rotating ear cups, that would be perfect, so you can actually put this around your neck without it feeling like you're wearing a neck pillow for your flights. At the end of the day, the Hecate GX is a gaming headset with great audio quality, which is really what it boils down to, doesn't it? While it hits a few hurdles, they're not large enough to stop me from recommending this as a solid performing headset for the PS5, even if it hasn't been mentioned as much in the same circles as PS5. Are you looking for the Hecate GX gaming headset or just another gaming headset in general for your PS5? Let me know in the comments. Once again, you can check the Hecate GX out in the link in the description if you're interested. I'll catch you in the next one. Picsoleated is X'd out.